Hello, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining me once again here on Talk and Fight for another episode of Boxing News Headlines. We're going to start off with a few results from the past few days, which saw in both fights that I called completely erroneously because my boy Tony Harrison lost. My boy Tony Yoka lost. So as far as recaps, please go to talkandfight.com. You'll see we have a results page. Feel free to visit that page and find out who else I picked lost. Anyway, it was interesting what Tim Tszyu had to say after his win. He said basically in a nutshell, the way my career has unfolded has been step by step all the way to the top. That's my mentality as a fighter. When I present an opportunity like Charlo, of course I'm going to take that. And when I get an opportunity to face Tony Harrison, of course I'm going to take it. So he's looking to fight Jermell Charlo next, who, by the way, lost to Tony Harrison. So that should be an excellent matchup if that in fact happens. And that would be an undisputed battle if that in fact happens. Anyway, let's move along to another fight that seems to have lost a lot of interest. Anthony Joshua tackling Jermaine Franklin, set up by Eddie Hearn, which may have been a big mistake because, according to this report, their fight scheduled for April 1st, April Fool's Day, at the O2 Arena in London has, quote, thousands of unsold tickets. And quite frankly, if I was a boxing fan, I'd be looking forward to seeing Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk, but I'll get into that in a second. In a nutshell, one of the chaps involved says, Gareth A. Taylors, he says, Gareth believes that the fans are reacting to being disappointed with Joshua versus Tyson Fury not happening last year. And that's the one that the boxing world wanted to see, particularly in the UK. After that big letdown, British fans, not surprisingly, are less than eager to purchase tickets to watch Joshua fight the American Franklin, who is coming off a loss to Dillian Whyte last November at Wembley. In hindsight, Joshua should have picked another opponent like Dillian Whyte, Joe Joyce, or Deontay Wilder instead of Franklin. But as I recapped a few months ago, Eddie Hearn said he had a plan to rebuild Anthony Joshua, get him back in the right frame of mind to tackle for yet another championship. But it seems like he's spiraling downwards, if you ask me. No, it is. But if you were to ask me, I would tell you Anthony Joshua is not going up. He's going down. Now, speaking of people seemingly on top of the pile, let's talk about Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk. We see in numerous reports that although a deal has been reached between the two fighters, with Oleksandr Usyk agreeing to take a 30% percentage of the purse, this deal was arranged prior to the mandated fight between Daniel Dubois and Oleksandr Usyk, which would have had to have happened if Usyk did not accept a fight against Tyson Fury. So now that all the marbles are on the table, so to speak, all the cards are on the table, everything's up for grabs. Are we going to see a fight between Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk? According to the WBA, they would say yes. They would say an agreement has been reached, and they're scheduling that for, as we've all been looking forward to, the latter part of April to be held at Wembley. As we all know, Fury holds the WBC title, and Usyk holds the WBA, WBO, and IBF belt. So as part of this deal, Usyk asked Fury to donate $1 million to the relief efforts in Ukraine, which I've not heard Fury has agreed to. But above and beyond that, where Fury's coming from, in a recent, I believe, Instagram message, he said, "From where I'm standing, Usyk, you and your team are worth 30%. That is. You either take it or leave it," and obviously Usyk took it. "And if you don't want it, then go fight Daniel Dubois at the Copper Box Arena in London and get a few $1 million." So it was all about money at the end of the day. It is always about money, quite frankly, these days. So Tyson Fury, though, with 70% of the purse in his pocket, with potentially an obligatory $1 million donation to the Ukrainians. Whether that fight will go forward or not now is completely up in the air, simply because uh, Tyson says there will be no rematch clause. So Tyson Fury is making more demands of Oleksandr Usyk, telling him in order for their fight on April 29th to take place, there will be no rematch. So, and although, to be clear, Tyson hasn't drawn a line in the sand and said, take it or leave it, as he did with Anthony Joshua, um, it's not looking promising this fight will happen, because Usyk's already accepted the one demand by Fury to take a less than anticipated purse, given the fact that he had already agreed to a substantial amount of money from the Saudis, which Tyson Fury turned down. Fury's now at it again, and this time, as I said, uh, saying there will be no rematch. Now, why? Because if Fury wins, he'll hold all the belts, and why would he want a rematch and risk a chance to losing them all? So he wants to go down, I suppose, with some kind of legacy as holding all those belts, and whether or not Usyk agrees, we don't know just yet. So, although the fight is scheduled to go ahead on April 29th, whether it will happen or not is contingent on whether or not Usyk agrees to a no rematch clause. Now, with respect to who will win, let's just briefly go over some of what the pundits are saying out there. Um, in a nutshell, as we all know, the Gypsy King, he's big, he's tall, he's heavy, and number one, okay, top of the division. He has excellent footwork, and he uses movement to make it difficult for his opponents to land punches. That we all know. He's a skilled counterpuncher, which he showcased in his fights against Deontay Wilder, without a doubt. You know, he has got a good boxing brain. He's got a good mobility. He's got upper body defense in his favor. But at the end of the day, he's only got a 69% knockout rate, which is relatively low compared to other top heavyweights. So who's he up against? Oleksandr Usyk. He's a former cruiserweight world champion. He's moved up in the heavyweight division. As I said, he's got 3 of the 4 belts. Usyk's biggest strength is the footwork and his ability to move around the ring. He is a southpaw and uses his right jab to set up his left hand, which has knocked out several of his opponents in the past. However, as we all know, Usyk's biggest weakness is his lack of size and power compared to other heavyweight boxers, and that would obviously include Tyson Fury. And keep in mind, Oleksandr Usyk only has a 50% knockout rate and has struggled against opponents who are physically stronger than him. So when it comes to predicting who will win, meh. Let's wait and see what other pundits have to say. But right now, it would obviously be a 50-50 situation. Now, let's just say, for example, this fight does not happen. Who will Tyson Fury pick to fight? That's interesting, because his options are somewhat limited, shall we say. He could face Joseph Parker. He could face Dave Allen. He could face Dempsey McKean, Martin Bakole, and Fabio Wardley. The one name that sticks out in my mind out of that list would have to be Martin Bakole. Why? Because very, very recently, Oleksandr Usyk's camp have denied claims from from heavyweight contender Martin Bakole that he stopped the unified world champion during a sparring session. Bakole, who was on Sky Sports over in the UK on Saturday night, said that he had stopped Usyk in a sparring session in Dubai, and consequently doubts the Ukrainian would be willing to give him a title shot. Responding to Bakole's claims, Usyk's promoter, and this is according to Sky Sports, Usyk's promoter, Alexander Krasuk, told Sky Sports that the situation was reversed, with his fighter having come close to inflicting a knockout. Bakole said, even Usyk, I don't think he'd say yes to fighting me, because I stopped him in Dubai in sparring. He knows how good I am. I don't know if he'll say yes again to fight me as well. I'm telling the truth. So, again, as I say, if the Usyk versus Fury match doesn't take place, they're going to need to because Queensbury have been looking forward to booking a fight and probably have booked Wembley Stadium for April 29th. But if there won't be a fight between him and Oleksandr Usyk, who might he fight? I wonder if he might fight Martin Bakole. So there you go. Boxing fans around the world, I thank you for joining me once again here on Talk and Fight for another episode of Boxing News Headlines. Appreciate your attendance. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and beer me on occasion. And let's join Mike Orr and Cedric Bennett at 4 p.m. for their show, Knuckle Up, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you.